Hi everyone, my name is Matt Monaco and I'm the Executive Director here at Newcastle Place. I have been with you for a full calendar year now, and we have been through a lot in that time. Anybody that's been at Newcastle for any amount of time may agree with the old expression that the days are long but the years are short. Now we've been through a lot together in that time, but think, I've been with you for 1 year of the entire 20 years Newcastle's been open. That's a mere 5% of the entire time Newcastle has existed. So it's amazing the history within this community, and you're going to hear a lot of history from people that have been here from the very beginning. So it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to our 20th anniversary celebration, and thank you for coming.
What matters most when it all boils down to things is the residents. I mean, that's why we're here.
We're here for, one reason and one reason only, for the people who live here.
It's a wonderful community with great people, both great residents and staff, great people to be with, and coming to work every day is a joy. It's wonderful.
I've been here longer than anybody ever been on a job. They say, how you do us? It's part of my life.
It's one of those jobs where you say, I've never worked a day in my life, because you enjoy what you do.
We decided we wanted to further our mission by completing the continuum of care downtown at the Milwaukee Protestant Home and start exploring places in the larger community to expand.
Really, it was at that time, a new concept to have a continuum of care facility out here. But I think over time, everyone has realized it's become a real asset to the community.
Mequon was adjacent to the North Shore communities, and people were familiar with the area, and it was up and coming, and it was beautiful.
We did have the advantage of the name Milwaukee Protestant Home in existence since 1884 with a very good reputation.
More or less, Mequon said, this is your property. This is the one that you will build on, or we won't do it. So, okay, so that's fine.
It was kind of a collaboration of what's available and what would both appease both the Protestant Home and Mequon. And so then this land became available, and I think we worked with the mayor then, and everyone seemed to feel this was ideal.
So we did find property. That took a while because Mequon community rightfully had certain areas that they saw wanted developed in a certain way.
As you've seen the model in the boardroom, it was pretty well planned ahead of time.
Even Greystone was surprised at how quickly we were able to handle pre-sales.
There was a lot of pent-up demand, and you don't really realize that until the rubber hits the road. And then we saw that this was obviously a great choice to build in Mequon.
When we got in, there was only 7 other people ahead of us. And so each week it built and built and built.
We watched it on TV when they were trying to get approval. It happened that we were living across the river here at Vilda Park. So we saw all this that was developing, and we thought, this is what we need.
Well, we just decided that right now we got to make a decision, and we did, and we loved it ever since.
And it all sounded very interesting, and we were gone to Florida for 6 months out of the year and thought it would be place to move. We wouldn't have to worry about a house anymore, so we signed up right away.
2001 is when we signed in, but we actually moved in 2003. And it was just the ticket that what we needed.
I knew no one in Milwaukee when we came in. So this is my family. It has been my family for 20 years.
All 20 years when I came here, the building was about half done. Within a day or two when I started, the first residents were already moving in.
It was interesting. When we came here, there wasn't nothing here, no residents, no anybody.
Very quickly, we went from nobody living here to almost full.
It was fun. It was really fun. You know, you thought you'd be part of something new. So it was really fun.
First few years was just a blur. Within the first year, we finished the rest of the building.
I remember when I started, the first floor part of skilled nursing was closed. There was nobody on the first floor. It was just empty rooms.
The only change was the size of the dining room changed. About halfway through, we did add on the east portion of that dining room before it was actually even finished the first time. And when everybody thinks that you have a brand new building and there's nothing to do, just the opposite. We had so much to do with new equipment and people moving in. Probably our busiest time was probably the first 2 years or so. And from my perspective on what I do, there was really nothing in place. There was a room downstairs that was empty, about 16 by 16 room, and that was supposed to be a maintenance shop, but it was empty. So in the beginning, we brought our own tools to do our work.
When I think back to 1884, the beginning of the Milwaukee Protestant home in a house, half of a house that was rented for a few women who might have been sent to the poorhouse otherwise, and how that grew to be the Castle on Downer. When I think of the scores of women for whom this was a labor of love, taking the mission of the Milwaukee Protestant home to the next step was the most gratifying thing for me. For many years, the Milwaukee Protestant home building was nicknamed the Castle on Downer.
Right. And so then the thought was we have to somehow leave the castle name intact, and so then I think it was one of the PR people from Greystone said, why don't we do a new castle?
We renamed the Milwaukee Protestant home East Castle.
It all related to the original Protestant home, which was known as the castle.
It was a quick beginning. Programs were put into place quite rapidly. The pool, I don't remember exactly when the pool was open, but within a few months the pool was open, the dining room was open, activities was on site already.
The first year I was a little surprised because I didn't get as much enthusiasm from them as I thought. The second year was totally different, and they said there was a bit of an adjustment, particularly if you were living in the main building, to communal living again, like you would as if you went off to college.
The one thing that is very important we've discovered to people at any care facility is the food.
We've done lobster, we do filet mignon, we do all different varieties of steaks and seafood and rack of lamb, and we never could in the beginning, but you serve them meatloaf and things like that, and they love it.
Good food. As Gary way back said, we live in a AAA restaurant, and I believe that.
It's been a challenge. There's a mindset out there that, this is a nursing home and the food's got to be bad, right? It's far from the truth.
I liked movies, so I started a Saturday night movie, and I kept track of all that we saw in 12 and a half years. But 160 some movies we saw.
Helping the people transition from a rehab, therapy standpoint to this is going to be my home. That was kind of neat. That was fun. You get to know the families more. You get to know people more at a personal level than more at a clinical level.
Plant ops did deal with computers very much. Things were much more mechanical. There isn't anything we do now that isn't run by a computer of some kind.
Now I use technology in everything I do, from iPads to computers. You interact with the television to play games. It was all hands-on, and before, now it's all technology.
I remember about the necessity of building the carriage homes because there were a few future residents who asked us if we wouldn't think about doing homes instead of the apartments.
Across the country, that younger families were moving into them with the understanding that then they could move into the apartments once they no longer needed that much space. Now you have waiting lists for them. People, that's what they want.
We had a lapdog policy. One young lady that wanted to live here, she was probably in her early 80s. She had 2 Great Danes, and she offered to rent an additional apartment if she could bring one of her Great Danes.
When I first was here, I asked my boss, Lisa, at that time, if I could do a wine and cheese party, and she said, sure.
So she brought Penny, the Great Dane, along. Now Penny was about this high at her back, and probably weighed, I don't know, well in excess of 100 pounds.
Well, hospitality delivered me the wine, but no corkscrew to open the bottle of wine.
But Penny rented an apartment. I would give you the number, but then whoever lives there now might not want to live there anymore. So
I went to Lisa and I said, how do I get a corkscrew? Where do I get one from? Because hospitality said they didn't have one.
Penny, though, learned how to open the front door, unfortunately, with her paw. And she decided that it would be okay to take walks once in a while in the building. Well, that was quite shocking, of course, to visitors.
She sent me to 3 residence rooms. I knocked on the first floor. It was Noonie and her husband.
Miss Penny was big enough to run away with a caregiver one day down the sidewalk. I patched the caregiver up with some Band-Aids.
I know, I'm Heather from Activities. I'm very sorry to bother you, but Lisa sent me here. I need a corkscrew. Do you by chance have one? And she goes, oh, yes.
But Penny, for the most part, behaved herself very well. She was a nice young lady.
Well, I earned a nickname that day. Whenever Noonie saw me, she called me Corkscrew.
We've had plenty of pets here, but never one that actually owned their own apartment. So.
Not only did Noonie call me Corkscrew, but other residents started calling me that nickname too. So that was my name.
Beautiful, the rural area and areas of trees and forests. It was just beautiful.
The philosophy for Newcastle Place at that time was to live in the city but somewhat in the country. Country living in the city.
I'm a walker, and I mean, I can walk the grounds, and you know, which is, I think, a nice feature, because there are many times places where they're located that you don't necessarily feel safe.
The large tree on the south end of the property, it's extremely old. I would guess it's well over 150. If you think about that tree being here possibly 200 years, that's 1800. That tree was here when, well, most of Wisconsin was being settled already. We became a state when in 1848. It survived the clear cutting of Wisconsin. It survived a lot of things. It survived all the agriculture that went on in this area. That tree was hit by lightning a few years ago, and we were afraid it would die from the lightning. But to tell you how tough that tree is, if it can survive 150 plus years, it can survive a lightning hit, and it did. It healed itself, although there are marks on it where you can see the lightning hit it. But we're happy it survived.
It's amazing, actually, to think. I didn't think when I walked in the door that I'd be at Newcastle for the 20th anniversary. I don't think anybody did. But it's a community. It's a wonderful community with great people, both great residents and staff.
I've enjoyed every minute of it, really.
It grows on you, and somewhere along the way you say to yourself, I'll probably be here as long as every Monday I can get up and still like Mondays and like to go to work. And Friday comes quickly.
As a result of longevity, I think we get pretty good service. Maybe a little better than the average.
Didn't imagine I'd be here this long when I started. And after a while I thought, hey, maybe I can retire here someday. That remains to be seen.
You know something, when I left East Castle, I figured I'd try something different, you know. But now I got friends still there, lifelong friends. So when I come here, I meet this guy. So we friends now. So this is like family, you know. I get up, that's what makes me get up in the morning.
I really enjoy my job. I enjoy the work we do. And it takes a whole team to do what we do. And Tommy is obviously a big part of that team.
You could see the positive effects definitely on the residents that came in.
Everybody is so friendly. I mean, this is really about like a big family.
It's meeting their requirements all the time. I see it. over and over again.
I'd love to swim in the pool. They're always entertaining us, or we're going out for dinner, so I do a lot of things here.
Just to see the evolution of Newcastle and how it's responded to the elderly population.
It's growing, which I think is just great, both here and East Castle.
It was a very gratifying part of my life to be involved in something like this and to see what it has become.
How important in my life it was to have been part of Newcastle and see the development of Newcastle.
It's a nice place, and we're all getting along okay here.
And it's been a blast. But it's not, I don't have 20 more in me, so don't look for it.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Happy anniversary, Newcastle. You have to talk too.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle Place.
Hey, Newcastle. Happy 21. We have to do this.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle. Are we doing 20th anniversary?
Hey, Newcastle. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle. You all said Happy New Year.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle Place. 20 years.
And counting.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, Newcastle Place. What? She didn't say place before.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
I thought we had to say 20.
Yes,
we are.
We did.
Hey, Newcastle. Happy 20th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
Happy anniversary, Newcastle.
3, 2, 1.
Happy 20th anniversary, Newcastle.